Hi, we're here again with Eric Blazer, and he's brought a ton of tools, and we're going to talk about his use for them. And just setting this out, we learned a ton, so get ready to learn some stuff. Hit it.
Hi there. Like Martha said, that I've been doing this a while, and so over the years, most of these tools that you see here were actually tools that my clients were using, and I picked up on them once they told me how great they were.
Did you take them or buy your own?
Eventually I got my own.
That's good.
Anyway, and so Martha, these are probably my oldest tool I have. I've had them for 30 years, and who makes these, Miss?
Well, these are originally made by Joyce Chin, who also made woks, and I used to buy them at Sur La Table, and I used them in my food stalling. These things are fabulous in the garden, but they're really designed for the kitchen. You can cut a chicken bone in half, like a chicken leg, whack it.
And I know, I've used it for
It's so strong.
everything.
It's really based on a bonsai scissor. Dynamics.
And like I said, 30 years I've had this, and I don't know, it still sticks around. A lot of these, you see I have a lot of pruners here, but I've lost them, and then I refound them. And through the years, I wanted to try different pruners, because it's real important that you have pruners that fit your hand. And my favorite now is this Felco number 7, because the handle rotates as you use it. And so it's less stress on your hands. If you're pruning something and you're doing a lot of repetitive, like for a couple hours, your hand is going to get sore. This is a real help for that. And also, the size of the pruner is really important too, because these number 2s are a little big for my hand. And so I like the number 6. Even though, they fit my hands perfectly, and I can just prune all day with these. And I keep them sharp, and they're a little rusty because it's wet around here a lot. And I don't really, to be honest with you, yes, I've been using tools for a long time, but I don't take care of them very well. But I use them a lot, and they never get rusted shut or anything.
Good.
But every once in a while, I do a little bit of WD-40, and I use that in a rag, and I do give it a wipe, and then it just makes it a little bit easier to use. And I like Felcos because you can use them just about everything, and including screwdrivers and a hammer, and they last. You can get all the parts for them. It's really fantastic, but you're going to pay some money, and it's worth it. And if you can see here, there's a little notch. That's for cutting wire. So if you're ever in the garden doing something, tying up something, staking, and you need to cut, there's a little notch in there, and that's for wire. In case you didn't know that. So anyway, so you can see that there's many varieties here, and there's also knockoffs. This is a Zenport, which is like the Felco number 7, and and you can see it doesn't work as well. That's why. Anyway, so so pruners, and then you want to keep them sharp. So right here, this is a Corona sharpener. You can see that shiny edge on it. And what that is it's a real hardened steel, and you can scrape your edge of your pruners and keep them sharp. So there's a beveled side and a straight side, and you want to make sure that you sharpen only the beveled side. And so when you do this, what I like to do, because when you cut, it tarnishes the blade. And so when you take this and you scrape metal off, you're going to get a shiny surface. And that's going to tell you if you need to bring your arm down or arm up when you're sharpening. So I'm going to make my first shave, and you can see how that's shined that up. And so I can see that's right on. What do you know? And you just keep doing it over and over and try to keep it at the same level.
Angle.
Thank you. And you just keep doing it. Sometimes you get a chatter edge, and then you just kind of give up a little bit on the pressure, and you'll smooth that out. And then you just do 1 or 2 on the back side, and then that kind of takes, if there's an edge of metal that's hanging. And let's see how well I did. I might be able to cut paper with it. Yep. I could have sharpened it a little bit more, but you can see, you can test your pruners by cutting paper. So, saws. And you can see here that these are folding saws, and what I really like about these is that you can unfold them. This is a Felco saw blade. You hear that click? That means that it's not gonna fold on your hand and cut you. So you wanna make sure that it's locked. And this is a 600. And what I like about this is that I can be in a tree and have this in my back pocket, and my hands are free. So, but there's many different varieties. There's Corona. This one's a still, and it's what they call a pull saw. So it only cuts when you bring it forward to you. So if you're pushing and with lots of pressure, you're not cutting. It's only when you pull, so you get into a rhythm when you're cutting the limb, and then you can really make good time of it.
Is this one like that too, or all these?
Yeah.
Like that?
So the still is the same. It says pull, jalar. That's Spanish, I guess. And then this is a longer hand saw. You can see it's rusty. Thank you. Mm-hmm. But it should be in a sheath, which would be right here.
It's a
and this
big
is,
sheath.
Well, that's for arborists to climb up trees, and they have it in, on their side, and it goes in a long thing hooked to their belt. And again, this is a pull saw, and the arc then gives you tension on the limb. Now we're going to talk about diggers, and this is my all-time favorite digger. There's many brands now, but this was the original one, was a Homatic, and that was like 30 years ago when it came out. And what I really love about this is that when you're out pulling weeds, you can use one hand, like if you're in a gravel driveway, you can just tap, 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 and then pull with the other hand. You can also plant bulbs and plants, small plants, and then you can also cultivate as you're going along, so you can just flip it. It's a really easy tool to flip. And this is kind of stuck on here, and I thought I would leave it on for amusement, but it hasn't come off in like 2 months, so. So then you have little hand trowels. There's all different kinds and shapes and sizes. Some tend to be agronomically correct, but then,
Agronomically or ergonomically?
Ergonomically, thank you.
Sort of,
agriculture. Well, I'm in
Yeah, I
agriculture,
know.
right? So there you go. So little hand trowels, and some of them have inches. So if you're planting bulbs, you know how far down to go. And that one over there is it's a Zenport, kind of same knockoff as those, made in China. And this is the Hori Hari version. And I don't really use this too much because it's hard on the hands. You have to hold onto it, and so it bothers my hands, so I don't use it that much.
So instead you hit it with this?
Oh yeah, anything that I'm weeding, a dandelion, you just go poof right over the top of the dandelion and then just kind of pick it up, and then you can usually get the whole root out.
Digging, you want to see my least favorite tool?
Yeah, show me.
When I got this, I was really excited. And I found out it came from Bellevue, Washington, from the Garden Works. And I thought, oh, that's so wonderful. You dig and move it, and it don't dig and it don't move. So what I would do is sort of rough up the dirt, and I'd push the dirt into this, and it was totally useless.
There's a few of those out there, just because it looks good, and you go into the home show and they saw that little sweeper thing going along there, and everyone has a sweeper, then they all end up at the dump at the Tioli.
So is that all the
things.
cutters?
Well,
All the diggers?
Diggers. So here's a really good cutter, a digger, excuse me. And so a client of mine gave me this as a gift because they had one. Like I said, see, most of my tools are from my clients who've had them, and I somehow used them. And so this is really good for planting bulbs, 4-inch containers, and it's Japanese. Anything Japanese is a good tool. It's good steel.
Mm-hmm.
This one has been used a bit and it's a little bit loose, but great digging tool, and it's a long handle. It's much better than this thing because you can just kind of, and it's straight, and you can see how straight it is, and you can just go straight down and with force, and you really get in deep, and that's really important when you need to.
Yeah.
Speaking of digging, here is this little anvil piece that, let's see, it's
Ooh.
actually, it comes off, and I've used this. I planted 1,500 bulbs by this thing, and talk about a savior.
Is this just a regular drill?
Yeah, it's just a regular drill. But I use a corded one because the cordless ones are so cheap these days.
Yeah.
You want to get an old metal one, and then it won't burn it up because I've burned up these before. So this is really easy in digging holes. And it's and it's got an anvil point, which kind of helps get it into the ground to catch that edge. And then you really can get digging a lot of holes if you have some to dig.
We were going to talk about gloves.
Yeah, look at these. Now, my favorite gloves are these thin vinyl ones. And what I like about them is that I can feel roots and plants, and it's almost like my hand. And so, but what happens is if you don't use gloves, your hands will dry out.
Mm-hmm.
And this prevents dirt and cracking from happening to your hands. So I like to use these.
But they don't protect your hands, like
No.
from getting poked and
So
scratched.
you still get poked. There's a little bit of resistance before your hand, but a thorn or something will go right through.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're into more thorny subjects, my other favorite gloves, you can see these are pretty worn. They're actually pigskin. You can see I haven't done anything to these. And those are nice and soft, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
What's left of them.
Yeah, they've been used well. So, and my newest purchase has these Hardy gloves. These are supposed to be mechanic gloves. And there's thin leather and a little padding here and there, which is kind of nice if you're using hand tool to dig. I haven't really tried these yet, so I'm looking forward to the moment.
Mm-hmm. These are my favorites. Brian got me this first pair from Sunset, and they last a long time, a really long time. They're like $6. I love these. My favorite I've ever used. And they're called, I guess, Showa Atlas.
And these westerly safeties, and what I like about these is that your skin breathes through the nylon, and then there's a thin leather hand, and they're tight on your hand, and then they have a Velcro strap, and you can see that it's not bulky. You can move around pretty easily. So I'm on my hands and knees a lot, and so what I really like about these, it's a hard shell, so you can be on gravel. You certainly would never want to kneel on your knees on gravel unless you had these. And on the inside, there's padding. So these are good for kneeling down and
Protecting your knees.
protecting your knees.
Did we talk about loppers?
Oh, and one thing I'm being reminded that this is my third set, and you can see I haven't used them very much. I think I have 2 other sets in 2 other houses, so this is what I got today. Now the important part is this is a bypass pruner. As you can see, the blade is going to go right by that opening, and then that way it's not landing on the metal. It's not metal to metal. So, and you can really get some good leverage. These are Coronas, and I highly recommend them because of their oval handle, and so you get more torque.
Just
rather
because
than
the
a round.
handles.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I've cut some massive things
Huh.
in my life. I hate to admit it, but again, if you wanted to sharpen these, and I have no idea how sharpened that is. It's again on the edge with the metal piece. This is a Corona sharpener, and then you take one strike, and there's a lot of rust on here, but then you can see where you landed. See where you landed on there?
Mm-hmm.
So then you adjust, and it looks like it needs to come a little flatter up, so I'm going to do that. So what it does is it takes a little bit of metal each time, and then you're reconditioning that edge. So one thing I wanted to show you this. This is, someone said it was a bread knife, but it's a knockoff Ginsu, which is a Japanese knife there was an advertisement of it, and you can cut through cans and then cut through a tomato and all of that. But what this is really good for is if, let's say you have a stuffed 1 gallon dahlia, not a dahlia, daylily.
Mm-hmm.
So you can cut through you pull it out of the can, and then you can slice all the way straight through it and get an equal half.
Oh, just to
And
divide it.
dividing perennials, and it's a really handy thing to have. And you can even dig something out of the ground, and if it's too tough on top, you flip it over, and then you just cut through the roots and then through the crown. And it's a really good tool. And I found a few of them at the Take It or Leave It.
There's one at the thrift shop we used to open boxes.
There you go. And it never gets dull, does it?
No, we don't like it.
I'll take it.
Okay, I might give it to you.
There. And then for your hands, these hand warmers, and for if you're working in the fall and winter and leaves and stuff, this is amazing. And so what you're doing is that there's these little, and they're supposed to be somewhat organic. And so they're in the package, it's sealed, and then when it's exposed to the air,
I heard you have to shake them too.
yeah, you have to shake them a little bit.
All right, super. Thank you, Eric.